HMA Fantasy Wrestling brings you the Best of the Decade Dual Tournament, based off of Flo Wrestling Radio Live's recent series on individual athletes. This new project brings together wrestling minds from all over the country to decide which college wrestling team can claim the title of the best team of the decade. Prepare for pandemonium, excitement, and of course, entertainment.
Especially considering that Jordan Burroughs steps on a landmine before he goes out to
No.
wrestle. And then that's it.
Dude.
The rules are simple. Each college team gets to draft an all-star lineup based off of the last 10 years of competition. Once each team is settled, the HMA crew assigns different teams to the sport's greatest minds to vote on each match in the event for the entertaining series. Each host has one landmine to use in a round. Similar to FRL, a landmine can wreck all votes from the community and the other hosts. A landmine is used on the individual match, and it's the only place you can get bonus points for your team. The next episode of HMA Fantasy Wrestling is here. Let's let it roll.
All right, everybody. We are here today to start a new series on HMA Fantasy. We've been listening to the FRL episodes over the last couple of weeks where they've been doing all of the cool all-decade tournaments, and I really got an idea, and I thought it'd be really cool to do the same kind of thing but in a dual format. So we're starting this all-decade duels series. It's going to be going on over the next couple of weeks. We have a bracket that we've picked out and seeded all of the teams, and we're going to be joined by different people every episode to break down these matchups. So today, for this first match, this first match is going to be the number 1 seed Penn State versus the number 16 seed Lehigh. And we are going to be joined today by Mr. Mason Beckman, Sam Herring, and Jude Swisher. So how are you guys doing today?
Doing super well. Jacob, how are you, my man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. My wife's got me outside painting and redoing furniture all day. But doing good, man. Ready to talk about some wrestling.
Dude, fun stuff. Hey, I have a real quick question just for clarification's sake. How did you decide on the seeds from all the stuff that's going on?
Yeah, great. So how we decided the seeds. And first of all, I'm gonna actually share my screen, and I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna throw part of the bracket up there. So if you are not watching, if you're just listening to us on the podcast, you can definitely go to the HMA Wrestling YouTube, or it's going to be also, there's going to be a link on the website, just hmawrestling.com. And you can get to the video and see our bracket and all of our, beautiful displays that we're going to have. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here is the first quarter of the bracket. The way I got the seeds, I actually went and I got an Excel sheet and I looked back at the last 10, or actually technically, 10 NCAAs. And I took the top 10 in each NCAA. And I just kind of recorded who placed what every year, right? And so, I had year 2010 through 2019, actually, because unfortunately we didn't get 2020. And I just went through and put their placements. And then, the teams that placed all top 10 all 10 years are at the top. And then it kind of trickled down. And when we had teams that were close, I looked at who placed higher more. And we just kind of sifted through it that way, and we ended up with, of course, Penn State's going to be the 1 seed, right? They've been dominant, won 8 out of the last 9, and then it kind of went through there. Iowa at number 2, Ohio State at number 3, Cornell at number 4, and so on.
Awesome.
But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the first duel, the number 1 seed Penn State versus number 16 seed Lehigh. And what we actually did is we talked about the best 16 teams of the decade, and then inside of that, each team we're doing an all-decade team, right? So I think it's a really cool thing to do because the teams are one thing, right? The teams that perform the best NCAA tournament, and then it goes down even further into who is the best team for each of these squads over the last decade. right? And so it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to have some upsets, and we're going to have some crazy matches. But just to kind of put some rules on it, what we're going to do is we're going to look at our two teams, our two all-decade teams, one for Penn State, one for Lehigh. And what we are doing is we are talking about each wrestler. We're talking about their entire career, right? When FRL was doing it, they were talking about, Jordan Burroughs 2011, Cal Dick 2013. If we broke it down that far, that would be a whole lot. And so we wanted to just look at the body of work each of these guys had over their career. And so each of these guys, keep in mind, we're looking at their entire career. In order for there to be a win in a match, we have to have a majority decision. There's 4 of us on this call right now, so we could end up going 2-2. If we do, then we do have our nomad like FRL has, which is actually going to be Christian Pyles for this episode. He's coming on later to talk about Virginia Tech versus Nebraska right after this duel. But he's going to be our nomad for this round. If we get 2-2 split, we'll shoot Christian a text, and he'll help break it for us. Awesome. But majority decision. And then also we are taking the landmines off of FRL. So everyone has 1 landmine per round, right? So per this round of 16, everyone has 1 landmine that they can use. And that's the only chance for bonus points. Right? Mm-hmm. If you pick a landmine, you can pick whatever when you want to pick, bonus points or not. But that's the rules. Does that sound good to everybody?
Sounds awesome.
Good to go. Cool.
Awesome. All right, let's get us rolling.
All right. So jumping into the first duel we have for Penn State, we're going to have at 125 Nico Megaludis, at 133 Roman Bravo Young, 141 Nick Lee, 149 Zane Rutherford, 57 is Jason Milf, 165 is David Taylor, 174 is Mark Hall, 184 is Ed Ruth, 197 Bo Nickel, and 285 Anthony Kassar. And they're going to be going against Lehigh, which is going to be Darian Cruz at 125, Scotty Parker at 133, Randy Cruz at 141, Mitchell Minotti at 149, Josh Humphreys at 157, Brandon Hatchett at 65, 74 is Jordan Cutler, 84 Robert Hamlin, 97 Joe Kennedy, and 285 Zach Ray. And that Lehigh squad was put together by our own Lehigh aficionado wrestler, our own Lehigh guy, Mason Beckman. So, man, this is going to be exciting. Starting at 125, we got Nico Megaludis versus Darian Cruz, a battle of 2 NCAA champions. How about Sam? Sam, start it off for us. What do you see going on at 125?
These 2 guys are so similar in their styles. They wrestle outside, kind of not much hand fighting going on, and they're so quick. And like you said, they both have an NCAA title to their name. Both PA natives, 1 Young Guns, 1 Easton. And we've actually had Darian Cruz on the interview. Mason had him on for his first interview. So go back and check that out if you haven't listened. But I think I'm going to have to take Nico Megaludis in his prime over Darian Cruz in his prime. I just feel like the clash of their styles is so similar. We're kind of looking at who's better at what. And I just feel like with their similarities, Darian Cruz seems to have had more success against the guys that are different from his style. And I feel like Nico Megaludis wrestling a guy like Gulabon in high school when they battled. And then his college career, I think Megaludis is better suited for this match in the style battle. So I'm going to take Megaludis, obviously, decision. So for me, Penn State takes an early 3-0 lead. Let's turn it to Mason. Mason, what are you looking at?
Obviously, all of these are hard in a certain way for me, but it's interesting. If you look at the whole career, Nico's career front to back, the body of work is incredible. Both of these guys are, one's a 4-time All-American, one's a 3-time. And Darian's off year was around a 12, right? So, both of these guys had unbelievable careers, but I think by almost every measurable, you have to say Nico, right? Like, was in 3 finals, went 2-2, 3-1. Nico doesn't need a whole lot of explanation, right? Like the kid, he probably had a grand total of 15 career losses, give or take, probably less than that, honestly. I think Darian, kind of what he showed on, the year that he won was on any given day, his athleticism is amazing. I mean, I can speak to that personally. I was forced to deal with it every day. His athleticism is incredible, and he can do some things that almost nobody else can do. So, it's a match that is super interesting because, we saw that match a couple times Darian's true freshman year, and, it wasn't real pretty. I know Megaludis tacked him in NCAAs. I don't remember what the duel was, but
the duel, I believe, was 6-0. I think they wrestled 3 times, right? Cruz and Megaludis.
Yeah, they would have wrestled a couple years later.
Scuffle,
Yeah.
The duel and then NCAAs.
So it would have been interesting to see Darian, especially the year he won, wrestle Nico the year he won. You never know. But, again, I think by every measurable, you almost have to say Megaludis if I'm forcing myself to be objective.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. For me, you have to pick Nico. Darian was awesome, and his Cinderella run, 2017, taking out Thomas Gilman was awesome. And he has obviously some big wins on his resume too. But when I look back at Nico's resume, he was in the finals twice and lost. He lost twice. But let's look at the guys he lost to, right? He lost to Matt McDonough, who was a 2-time champ. He lost to Jesse Delgado, who was a 2-time champ. And then, in the finals of senior year, he takes out Thomas Gilman, who we can all agree is one of the best to never win one. And obviously Darian has that win on his resume too. But just the resume that Nico had, the consistency he had, and just the crazy, the dude has no bones.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick Nico.
I will also take Nico Megaludis for all the reasons above, but also because he beat him head-to-head. So it's pretty cut and dry for me, Nico Megaludis.
All right, so then Penn State takes an early 3-0 lead over the Lehigh Mountain Hawks, and we'll move down to 133, where we got Roman Bravo Young versus Scotty Parker and or our own Mason Beckman. Let's get into this one. I'm really excited for this one. I think it's a good match, right, Mason?
Yeah, it's super interesting. So if you look at it, if you're looking at Scotty, Scotty was super consistent in his time. The 3 years that he was healthy and in the lineup, he lost his last year because he wasn't able to rehab and get himself healthy again. But, in his 3 trips, he, I think, went 1-2 or 2-2 at NCAAs and then made the podium twice. Really sneaky good athlete. Scotty, actually, one of the things that always was really hard to deal with was he was a lot more powerful and a lot quicker than people realized. But, and then obviously on RBY's end, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more athletic and entertaining individual to take a match. So you have a little bit of a contrast in styles. Scotty did well when – it's not that he wanted to slow things down, but Scotty did pretty well when he was able to kind of get things in his wheelhouse, and he did a really good job of forcing guys into his wheelhouse. So the crux of it is, and you kind of see this like with – it's like with what Rivera did to RBY. Rivera forced him into the wheelhouse he wanted to wrestle in, right? Rivera forced him to wrestle in a phone booth and won the match in the phone booth. So I think you're looking at a similar kind of thing as far as that's what Scotty tries to do. If I'm forced to pick, oh my God. I think I think if it's one of those cases where it's the first time they wrestle, probably RBY, because the first time you wrestle somebody like that, I'm sure we've all experienced it. When you wrestle somebody that's so singular, so unique, and can just do things that you can't game plan for. I think if it's the first time they wrestle, I think it's RBY. Past that, it's probably you flip a coin. But if it's the first time, I'd probably have to go RBY.
Mm-hmm. Jacob, who you got, my man?
Yeah, so I got, looking at this one, I'm going to take RBY. And it's just because of, we've kind of alluded to the freak athleticism that RBY has. But for me, it's really that jump. He had a huge jump from first to second year. Not like, he wasn't like, a lowly guy that jumped up and became big. But for me, RBY year one was like, he was good. He's going to be an All-American contender. But he's not like a title threat. Whereas this year, he was right there with all of those guys, right? He was right there with Gross, DeSanto, Sebastian, obviously. And I'm really excited to see his progression and see where he goes over the next couple of years, because I think he made a really big jump for me in year one. But yeah, I'm just going to take RBY. It's just the athleticism. It's hard to pick against.
Mm-hmm. I'm also going to take RBY, similar reasons, but also because, he had as good a shot as anyone to be a national champion this year, especially in that really tight group of guys. He has a very specific set of skills that he's really, really good at. And, when he gets moving, it's pretty incredible to see. So I will take RBY in this. And Sam Herring, who you got?
I got the same thing. RBY's athleticism is hard to be matched. Especially the way he's been growing recently. This last year that we didn't get to watch him compete at the NCAA tournament, but man, he was on a roll. Top 4 pretty much at the worst. He was right there to win nationals. His athleticism again is unmatched. So let's move down to 141, where I think this one we can move a little bit quicker with these next few, just because of Penn State's tough guys are here. So Nick Lee, Randy Cruz. I'm going to take Nick Lee for the understood reasons. Nick Lee is a monster, the favorite to win this year every time, or behind Pletcher, I guess. But it was basically him and Pletcher. This year we didn't get to see it again, but you guys got Lee as well? Yeah,
I'm going to take Nick Lee. He was a monster this year. He looked so good. I hate that we're kind of discounting people, right? Because Randy Cruz was a great wrestler, right? He was 102-40 in his career. He was an All-American, and we're just kind of like saying Nick Lee. But I think if we would have talked about this a year ago, then I might have had more of a discussion about it or more of a thought about it. But this year, Nick Lee he was tearing people apart. And it's really hard to pick against a guy like that. So I'm going to go Nick Lee.
I will also go Nick Lee for other reasons. Mason, before we move on, you want to give us a rundown on Randy Cruz and his career?
Yeah, so that's what I was kind of going to say. So Randy, qualified 4 times. Round the 12 as a sophomore, he lost to Ashnall to place in a really wild match. Actually, a super fun match to watch. I just don't like how it ended. And then he beat Micah Jordan to place the next year, and then lost to McKenna on the backside as a senior. But the thing with Randy, when Randy had wins, had some don't get me wrong, gun to my head, I'm taking Lee. But the thing with Randy is he's always got a puncher's chance because of how good he was on top. And it's not like Lee struggled on bottom at all either. But Randy was such a freak on top, was just so long, and he wasn't a guy that pinned a ton of people, but he could get a set of 4, ride you out, and that's a 5-point period, and he's probably going to take top in that situation, right? So Randy always had a puncher's chance, was good everywhere. But again, I think you guys hit the nail on the head with the way Lee looked this year, and the things that he did to other multiple-time All-Americans. Like, you have to say Lee.
Yeah. All right, and then so we got Nick Lee. Penn State goes out to a 9-0 lead, goes straight to Zane Rutherford, and Mason. Why don't you tell us about his opponent?
So Mitchell was a 2-time All-American. The only 2 years he got a chance. Was an All-American. Only year he was at 49. He won Midlands, made the semis at NCAAs, and was obviously an All-American. Was an All-American the next year at 57. And then junior and senior year, his junior year, he had to have something. He had to have a knee surgery of some kind. But what ended the season was a staph infection, like an internal staph infection.
Ooh.
That messed his knee up, and it was like never right again. So he came back a little bit his senior year. What technically ended it was he lost the wrestle off, but it was never going to be close to his knee wasn't right. I mean, he'd had shoulder on both surgeries on both shoulders. By the end of it, we called him the glass body Minotti because he just the kid had horrible luck. None of it was his fault, and he just couldn't stay healthy. But when he was on the mat,
last name. Sorry, that's a great last name for nicknames.
Yeah, Mitchell is the man. Homegrown Valley kid. He went to Easton. He's Lehigh Valley through and through. But Mitchell was awesome, man. He had some huge wins in his career. Obviously, like I said, he won Midlands, was in the national semis. Always had was kind of a home run hitter, had a great cement mixer, as all Lehigh Valley guys do. Mitchell was tough, man. And the biggest thing with Mitchell was he always wrestled best at NCAAs or at Midlands. You put that kid in a chance, in a situation where it mattered, and he showed up. His sophomore year at NCAAs, he wasn't a full-size 57 because he had been rehabbing the entire summer between his freshman and sophomore year because he blew his shoulder and had to get surgery, which unfortunately was kind of the story of Mitchell's career. And then at NCAAs, as the year progressed, he busted his knee up and he tore a bunch of stuff in his knee. And he's warming up to wrestle Colica from Oklahoma State in the round of 12. First of all, he makes the quarters, which the kid can barely walk and he makes the quarters. And he's wrestling James Green, who was the 1 seed that year. And literally we're all like, I hope Green just doesn't kill him. Because Mitchell was so hurt, Green was so good all year. We're like, just don't kill him. That's really the only real request here. Or maybe that was the year Imar was the 1 seed, but it doesn't matter. It was still Green, right? And Mitchell goes out and loses 5-2, 6-2, and is competing with him. You were the only person that can do this on one leg. Well, other than Robles, I guess, but yeah, right. But I mean, this the kid can barely bend his one leg. And his knee swells up real bad that day, and he comes back to wrestle Colica that night. And to Mitchell's credit, man, I'm like, are you going to be able to wrestle? He's like, I'm going to figure it out because I'm not placing. Well, okay, fair enough. And he forces the whole, just guts himself through it, gets it to, I think he beat him in a ride out or some ridiculous thing. And his knee was so bad that Santoro and our athletic trainer, Jack Foley, literally had to act as human crutches for Mitchell to get back to where we kept our stuff. So, wow. You talk Mitchell, he was a gamer, and the two things that stick out were he was an absolute gamer and he's one of the toughest people I've ever been around. But in this context, Zane is Zane.
Yeah.
Not much else.
Doesn't need a lot of, you don't really have to recount Zane's incredible career, but
yeah.
Everyone knows.
You're talking about, this is another case where it's just it feels weird to just say Zane and move on because there's not much to say, but you're talking about one of the best of all time, right?
Yeah.
Zane is easily one of the best college wrestlers of all time, right? And so we're not discounting anybody by by not putting it up in the air, but like it's one of the best of all time. And it's actually kind of funny. So one of my good friends was a gymnast at Penn State, and he was there that same time. He actually roomed with I forget one McCutcheon. And so they were all real good friends, and he was good friends with Zane. And so he has videos on his phone of they'd be, hanging out, and there's a bunch of guys that are, college guys drinking adult beverages and getting all, excited and calling Zane out. And Zane, of course, is not, because he's, fine-tuned machine, training for Olympic titles. And so there's videos I've seen of Zane just beating the crap out of guys just in the living room floor with like jeans on and stuff. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
But you're talking about guys that are getting all excited and calling out one of the best of all time, and then just getting worn out on the carpet.
That's awesome.
It's
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But it's Zane here.
Yeah, it's Zane. We all got to take Zane.
Zane all the way.
Here we go. We got Penn State 12-0 lead, and up next versus Jason Nolf, we have Josh Humphreys. Mason, who is Josh? Give us a little background on Josh and what he did.
Yeah, so Humphreys, obviously, he's 2 years deep at Lehigh right now. He's qualified twice, has been the 8 seed, like a top 8 seed both times, I think. He was either the 8 or the 9 last year. I think he was the 8 because he beat Pagdalau during the year and then lost to him in NCAAs. But so he was around a 12er last year. Obviously, you don't know how it plays out, but he was a top 8 seed again this year. Humphreys is tough, man. He does some really wild stuff. He's brutally good on top. He just basically puts boots in and tries to dislocate your shoulder. He's really freaking good. But, and I think he's a guy that by the time it's all said and done, has a really, really realistic chance of being a whatever you want to call it, a 2 or 3 time All-American, however you want to term this year. But that's a guy that I think has a super, super realistic chance to be on the podium both of the next couple of years. And if he's in the finals, I don't think it would surprise anybody. But again, same thing, man. Like on the other side with Nolf, a 4-time finalist, a 3-time champion, one of probably at the bare minimum, one of the 20 or 25 best best to ever do it. You know what I mean? It just kind of is. How many losses did Nolf have? Like really real losses? 2,
right? Just to Imar twice.
Yeah, just those 2. Because if you throw out the defaults and when he got hurt against Rutgers, that's it.
Yep.
So the dude lost twice in 4 years.
Yeah. To one person, to one human being.
It's just silly.
Oh.
Which at the time we thought was going to be a 4-timer.
Yeah. To also one of the best to ever do it, right?
Yeah.
One of the best to not be a 4-timer.
Yeah, and you guys are saying it all, man. It's next topic here.
Next topic.
Yeah, it's just it is what it is.
It is what it is. All right. So we're all taking Jason Nolf and moving on to 165. David Taylor versus Brandon Hatchett.
Hold on, I want to start this.
Oh, go for it, Jacob.
I got to start it, Jude. So when we were putting together these lineups, when we were putting together these lineups, I think I might have explained it earlier, but what we basically did is we didn't have just me sit down and go through all these lineups, right? We kind of divvied them up and gave lineups to people who thought kind of were associated with these schools or whatnot.
Dog.
And nope, it's fair. And so Jude turns in his lineup to me for Penn State, right? Jude's our Penn State guy. And so he turns in his lineup and I look at it and I immediately just red flag. And I text Jude, I'm like, hey, are you forgetting anybody? And because he turns it in and there's no David Taylor on it, or Ed Ruth actually. But no David Taylor, no Ed Ruth. And I'm like, are you forgetting anybody maybe? And he's like, and so it hit. And I was like, no, hold on. Jude, not only did you forget one of the best of all time in Ed Ruth, one of the best of all time in David Taylor, but David Taylor is your coach.
You know what? In my defense,
you see this man regularly.
First of all, why do we always bring off things that are completely off the record? The mistakes that I've made that I've fixed.
You can bring up anything.
Verclearing over Lugo.
Yeah, Verclearing over Lugo and all that. Guys, I thought it was top 5, past 5 years. All right, not decades.
Past
5 years, I had Mark Hall in there, I had Kenzo and Mark Hall and I can't remember. But I repented.
Either way,
I said I'm sorry. I hope David doesn't hear this.
I hope he does. I really do.
Send it to him.
Great.
There's going to be sprints involved.
This clip to him.
Awesome. Here you go, David. Hope you enjoy.
He's going to be tagged on Twitter. I'm just letting you know that.
Oh, awesome. I'm so excited. But let's do this matchup, all right? I want to move on from what's in the past, because what's in the past. We can't change it. But
the match already happened.
The match already happened. David
Twice.
Taylor
was
he was
like
close the first time, right?
In the NCAA finals.
Well, no. So the first time was the duel in December. The duel was something like 8-5, like 8-5, 9-6.
Yeah, not like a normal David Taylor,
No, not a score you would have expected. Now the flip side of this with Hatchet, unfortunately for Hatch, the lasting image is getting teched in the national finals, right? Which it just is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
First of all, you're there, right? So you're in the national finals. But the other thing with Hatch too was and I'm not saying he would have been was going to be Dave, because again, I'm not making that argument because it's not realistic. But as far as people that don't remember Hatch or their lasting impression is that final. Hatch had wins over probably everybody else at the weight, other than Taylor, obviously. I think at one point that year, I don't remember what Dave's record was, but I know there were only 2 or 3 bouts that weren't bonus points. Obviously, and the dual meet was one of them between those two. Hatch was awesome, and he's a dude that if you guys ever – and I don't know how much film of Hatchet exists, but if you ever want to find a dude that was crazy fun to watch and was willing to throw kitchen sinks at any given point, go dig up film of Hatchet. He actually knocked himself out in the duel against Michigan one year. Went double overs, and a true story, he went double overs, and I think inside hook and popped the guy through. I can't remember the kid's name, but
David Taylor did that in the World Semifinals.
He hit so hard, they both got knocked out.
That's crazy.
That's got to be out there.
Yeah,
Dude,
true
find
story.
the video.
I've seen the video of it somewhere, but Hatch, he didn't concuss himself. He hit so hard. He there was basically a lapse in blood flow, and he blacked out.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Mason, you got to find this video, dude. I want to see it. We can maybe tweet it out from home advantage. Y'all can see it.
Yeah.
But, we can't really take anything different here, can we?
No. Again, it happened.
And this is where Penn State has just been so crazy good over the last 10 years, because not only are these guys all-decade team guys, but these guys are all-time, right? And David Taylor, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think David Taylor might be the best Penn State wrestler of all time. And I know there's guys that have more NCAA titles, right? But let's keep in mind that the two that David didn't win are, Bubba Jenkins' Cradle, which it happens to the best of us, and Kyle Dake, which he was right there with, right? He got the first takedown. He got out to a lead, and then just kind of couldn't hold on against one of the best of all time. It's David Taylor here, and I don't know.
Yeah. What else? Sam Herring, you got DT?
I'm thinking Hatchet. No, I'm kidding. No, definitely David Taylor.
Awesome. Save that landmine, baby.
For sure, David. That'd be funny if I used a landmine on this match.
I think we should all landmine Penn State, all of us, just at one time.
Dude, it'd be funny. All right.
If we landmined 4 matches for pins, that we could literally make Lehigh win this match. So all four of us picked
something to think
Lehigh
about.
for a pin.
Something to think about.
All right. Don't get too ahead of yourselves.
There are 4 matches left.
There's something to think about.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
No more thinking about it.
but so 174. We're getting into another match that has happened, right? Mark Hall and Jordan Cutler have met several times. Several, or was it just the one?
Oh God, probably 5 or 6. Got to be 5 or
Okay,
6.
yeah.
They've
So it's been
wrestled
a
in
lot.
3 duels, scuffle. Yeah, it's got to be at least 5.
Yeah. Mark Hall coming away, winning all of
Run
those.
through this one quickly.
And yeah.
Yeah, I don't really think there's explanation there.
I mean, still, don't discount Cutler. He's
No, I mean it's
Cutler's been right there every time.
right there every single
Yeah,
time.
and like you saw the duel this year, they're all great matches, but
Yeah.
when it's 4-0, 5-0, whatever the record is.
Yeah, take off.
This is definitely one of the more flippable ones. I mean, again, Mark Hall's won them all, and I'm not picking against him, but this is not like the previous 3.
Right.
Yeah.
No, because Cutler was one of the guys in this year's 2020 bracket who had a legitimate shot of winning a title. Leidy and Kemmer and Hall. They were all there too.
Yep.
Mhm.
But Cutler certainly had as good a shot as anyone. So.
Yep.
But we're going to take Mark Hall and move on to 184 pounds, where the truth, Ed Ruth, is making his debut against Robert Hamlin, which is actually a very enticing matchup. Jacob, start us off, my man.
So this for me is, when I said earlier that I thought David Taylor was the best Penn State wrestler of all time, this is the other guy for me. I think they're the top 2.
Yeah.
I think that's the argument if you're asking me. I mean, Ed was so good. I mean, he won 3 titles. He got 3rd as a freshman, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just so dominant. I remember when I was growing up. So when I first got into really watching college wrestling, that was back in prime. It was a little bit before, but Ed Ruth was right there in the early years of me being a college wrestling fan, and I loved watching Ed, and I became obsessed with the cradle, just watching Ed Ruth.
Yeah.
Right, watch Ed Ruth wrestle, and I'm like, I gotta be that guy, and so that's like all I worked on for weeks and weeks in the wrestling room was just cradles, and he's just on another level, man. He's another guy that Penn State just has an embarrassment of riches where, I look at him and I'm like, I don't really care who you put across, right? I don't care who's across on the other side of the line. It's going to be Ed for me.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Sam?
What about Gabe Dean?
Oh,
It's
no.
It's Ed.
Yeah,
It
no,
wasn't.
it wasn't, but, most people were picking Ed, right?
Rutherford beat Stieber once.
It's true.
Same thing. Gabe beat Ed once.
All right. So that'd make it 24-0. And I don't think it's changing at Bo Nickel. Joe Kennedy. My goodness, this is a really, really one-sided duel. When you combine Penn
Nice.
State for the best of the decade,
Sam.
they do not have a weak weight.
No, I mean
Yeah.
you've got 8 national champs, and the other 2 both could have won this year.
Right.
Yeah.
No, considerable shots. And you got world champions, world team members, age group champions, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be hard-pressed to find a duel where they lose more than one match, if any.
Iowa could do it.
But everyone, make sure that you're listening to all the rest of them, for sure.
Awesome. All right. Bo Nickel, Joe Kennedy, Mason Beckman. Get us started off.
I mean, the answer is Nickel, but, again, it just is what it is. Nickel's one of the best guys to ever do it. 4 finals, 3 titles, and a flair for the dramatic just for fun. But, yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to it. Kennedy was an All-American, was around a 12er as a junior, was really, really good in his own right. Had a beautiful inside trip. It's kind of where he made a living, but I mean, again, it's nickel.
Yeah. No, I mean, who can dispute that? So
the real conversation here is the fact that Quentin Wright, and I'm not saying this is wrong, the fact that Quentin Wright doesn't make this lineup is just asinine.
Oh,
and not because it's wrong, just like that is absurd.
Dude,
Yeah.
Quentin's definitely one of my favorite Penn State wrestlers of all time. I love me some Quentin Wright.
So we
so good.
If you think about the guys that didn't make this lineup for Penn State, you've got
I know.
Kenzo Joseph.
hold up though.
One that comes to what?
I think
Go for it.
I think if we could agree on this moving forward if we want. Ed Ruth was at 74 before, correct?
Yeah, but as a freshman, right?
No, I think he won a title at 74.
Oh.
Yeah, because he beat Amuchastegui for his first title.
Yeah.
So we technically could have put Ruth at 74 and Quentin at 84.
Yeah,
or Quentin at 90, or nickel down.
We could fit it in.
You could put nickel at 84 and Quentin at 97, but it's the same conversation either way.
What it comes down to is who is a better wrestler, Mark Hall or Quentin Wright? And
I think he's deserving.
God.
no, yeah.
It's Quentin Wright.
It's an actual question. Like
It's not a question.
On accolades, it's Quentin, right?
It's Quentin.
Yeah, I mean, Quentin's got more titles, made 3 finals.
Yep.
Was a 4-time All-American, a true freshman All-American.
I think we need to shuffle this.
Obviously, Mark won a title as a true freshman.
And Mark had the chance to win a title this year and was a 3-time finalist.
Yeah, I mean, there's no good answer. I shouldn't say there's no good answer. There's no remotely bad answer there.
Right.
It's interesting, too, because they're both, they were both super unique, but in kind of a similar way. In a sense that, I don't know, ultra dangerous. Quentin Quentin was interesting, man. He did some really old school things. Quentin was the first guy I had seen, and I can't even tell you how long. Probably from the time I was growing up. Quentin was the first guy I ever saw at a high level, at an NCAA final level, finish a double leg with an outside trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he was so long, his frame was, it sounds weird, but he's all limbs. And, he could get himself, go hook to a double and then just step around. And I remember, because I was teammates with Hamlin for a few years. And he actually trained my whole time there. And Hamlin said he's the thing with Quentin was you just never felt anybody like him. He just did things because of his frame nobody else could do. And he was just really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I feel that it's an injustice to leave this way. I feel
but I don't think do you boot Hall?
I think you got to move Ed down, nickel down, and slide in Quentin. I think it's hard to do, but he won 2 titles, and he was in the finals 3 times. I think
to be completely honest, I think we got to leave the team as it is. If this is on me, I was in charge of making the.
No, I think you leave it as is. But
I think we got to leave it as is. But maybe, there's certainly a case for the best of the decade team to include Quentin Wright. Yeah,
I think you do the same thing there. That the way you listed me and Scotty at 33, you just throw Quentin in somewhere as by the way, this dude was also here. Just the dumbest thing.
It's nuts.
All right,
it's
head
in there for next time.
We are almost out of time on this Zoom meeting, so let us end it with Anthony Cassar, 1-time national champ, who's actually, I was thinking about it today, he's still the reigning NCAA champion.
It's true.
So,
you're one of those guys.
Yeah, sorry.
No, Penn State's still the reigning champs. You're one of those guys, aren't you?
I'm only saying it.
You know how it would end.
All right, maybe. But, he's going up against Zach Ray. Mason, give us the rundown on Ray and his career, please.
Ray gets forgotten about because he wasn't a ton of fun to watch, if we're being blunt. But he was consistently elite. Was a top 3 seed 3 times, national champ, national runner-up, and a 3rd place. 4-time qualifier, if memory serves. World team member. Just an absolute mountain of a human being. If, he's obviously coaching at Lehigh now. If you guys are ever up close to him, he is a massive dude. And the thing with Ray, complete freak of an athlete that you would never expect. Zach's a rock solid 265 and can do a standing backflip, can do the kick off the wall backflip, all that stuff. He is he's a freak. Dude can squat so much, the bar bows, the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Gosh.
Yeah, so Zach, and the thing with Zach that went really overlooked in his career was his wrestling mind was super bright. One of the things that made him pretty special as an athlete was he spent a lot of time watching film, and he was really good about watching film, understanding tendencies, and creating game plans to beat people. And that's, in addition to all the skills that he had, he was really good on top. Again, he was a great athlete for a heavyweight. He is, you're not going to overpower him or outsize him, right? You're not going to lose because he's a smaller heavyweight or anything like that. So Zach kind of checks all the boxes other than the aesthetic test. He just wasn't exciting, but he was elite for 3 straight years. And this one, I pick Ray.
You pick Ray? Picking Ray over Kassar. I'm taking Kassar because Kassar beat Gable Steveson, who has been said that is the number 1 high school recruit of all time. Yep. I'm taking Kassar in this situation.
It's Kassar. All right, guys. So we kind of have to wrap it up real quick. We're running out of time, and we gotta jump over and get Christian Pyles on for the next duel. But that wraps up our Penn State Lehigh duel 30-0. It was a great one, and we are ready for way more. So
awesome. We're going to take a break. We will be right back.
All right, guys, welcome back. So we are going to jump into the next duel. We just finished up Penn State versus Lehigh, and now we're going to jump into Nebraska versus Virginia Tech. And to do that, we had Mason on earlier, and then we're transitioning over, and now we're bringing in Mr. Christian Pyles from Flo Wrestling. How you doing today, Christian?
I'm great. You know what? It's a beautiful day here in Austin, and I'm pretty pumped to talk some wrestling, especially a little Virginia Tech wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we thought when we were thinking about, the duels and we got all the teams and we were trying to think of, what are some teams that we can bring different people in on? And obviously, you guys talk about, Virginia Tech and being from Virginia. So that was a no-brainer.
But I'm just saying we got kind of a squad here. I've assembled here, the best of the decade. It's a team. I think people would be surprised to know that in the last decade they've had an All-American in every single weight.
Whoa!
Wow,
that's pretty crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
That's awesome. Well, so we're also, again, obviously we're joined by Sam and Jude as before. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we jump into the actual duel, let's just go over briefly kind of rules of what we're doing. So we fill CPM. So again, we got this. First of all, thank you for giving us the idea, right? Because we've been listening to FRL for the past couple of weeks and listened to all the the decade tournament matchups, and it's been awesome. And so I was just sitting up in the morning the other day by myself, having my coffee, and I was thinking what else can we do like that would be really fun? And, dual meets are awesome. And we've had, the big conversation this year about dual meets and, should the whole deal with national titles and should we have a national title for duels too? And so I thought it'd be something cool to do. So thank you for the idea. But,
sure. There's nothing new under the sun, so I can't take any credit for anything, especially the best of the decade. But I'm glad to have maybe that it inspired you guys, because this actually is just as fun, if not more fun, making the best teams of the decade. So maybe in like a year I'll steal this and we'll do our own, put our little twist on it.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
absolutely. I mean, I think it's really cool because it's like it's mushing two different things together. You know, we talk like I looked at the stats to find out who the best teams were. You know, and so like it was pretty clear cut. There was only a couple decisions that were like here and there, but then once you get the best teams, picking the actual like all decade for each team is gonna like it's gonna be crazy. I mean, I don't think seeds are gonna hold. I think that's the fun
probably
part.
not. But duels are so matchup based. You might be surprised where you get an upset along the way.
Yeah, for sure. So just, going over it before we start. First of all, we're going to talk about like wrestlers. We're talking about over their entire career, right? So when we talk about one guy, I thought that it would be a little bit easier if we just pick like, Nico Megaludis and we talk about Nico, overall, like the best Nico, right? Because with 16 teams, 10 people in each lineup, if we looked at each of the 4 seasons for everybody, we have like 640 seasons we're looking at, and that's just crazy. So we're just going to talk about like a wrestler and their entire body of work and, the best version of each of these guys. And then after that, as far as the wins go, when we talk about each match, we're going to have majority decision rules, right? And so in order for a wrestler to win the match, we have to have a majority, right? And obviously there's 4 guys on here. So if we have a 2-2
You got Nomad? Nomad ready?
We got our Nomad. So I think we can probably shoot Mason a quick text and get his opinion on it. He'll be our Nomad.
What we'll actually do is we got 4 people here, so we'll take those votes and then do the Twitter polls. We'll count as a vote too.
But do we have them up?
Just like FRL. We don't have them up, but in order like for a team to move on, we'll take the polls for that. So we won't know who wins after this unless like it's 3-1 or something like that.
All right.
Good to me.
Very cool. So besides that, we are going to do landmines just like FRL. No landmines in the finals, but everybody's going to have 1 landmine per round, right? And that's per duel. Like obviously not going to landmine the whole duel, right? But if you have one guy that you want, then we can move forward with that. And also the last thing, bonus points is going to have to be unanimous, right? So if 3 out of the 4 of us pick Gerard Garnett, and then all 3 of us have to agree that it's by major decision or whatever. Probably not going to be a whole lot of those. But anyways.
We're going to get so angry at each other. I can already tell this is going to – we're just going to be so mad. Oh, man.
Yeah. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let me pull up share my screen real quick. Sorry about that. Bad radio. All right. So we got the duel up. And first thing is just kind of going through and just looking at, we got number 8 and number 9 Nebraska, or number 8 Virginia Tech, number 9 Nebraska. And, well, first of all, first thing when we're looking at it, we talked about it a little before the show, but it looks like CP couldn't make a decision on some of them.
Listen, we like all our guys. We're going to weigh in 15. We're going to look at the matchup, and we're going to make a decision.
Awesome. So, Sam, do you want to tell us one of the lineups? You want to tell us who we got for Nebraska?
Yeah. So obviously Virginia Tech, the favorite in this match. Barely. This is the 8 versus 9. So the closest match we'll have in round of 16. We got starting off at 125. We've got Joey Dance or Jared Garnett versus Tim Lambert. Then you got at 33 Devin Carter versus Eric Montoya. Then at 41, I'm going to need some help pronouncing these, CP, but we got Solomon Chisco. Or Diaz. Chisco?
Mm-hmm. Diaz.
That's easier than I thought. All right, so we got Chisco and Diaz versus Chad Red. And then at 49, you got Sal Mastriani versus Jake Suaflon. 57, Nick Bracetta or Jesse Dong versus James Green. 65 going to get heated. Makai Lewis or David McFadden versus
All Jersey.
So
all Jersey in that one.
We should talk about like if are they like tapping in on Jordan or
That might be necessary actually.
Yeah. David McFadden's actually got a good build for that match that might be able to slow him down. But anyway, 74, you got Zach Epperly versus Robert Kokesh. 84 is Zach Zavatsky versus TJ Dudley. 97, Jared Hott or Chris Penny versus Craig Bester. And then 285, big man Ty Walls versus Colin Jensen. Let's get it started here at 25.
Okay, pretty simple here. We've seen this one. We're gonna use Joey Dance. Dance beat Lambert twice in his career. He had a far better accolades than Lambert. There is a case for Gerard Garnett. I think he'd be more likely to get bonus in this scenario because he was like really good on top. He would do a lot of feet to back stuff, but he would also like every now and again have a loss that wouldn't make any sense. So I think Joey Dance would get a decision here over Tim Lambert.
So real quick, something that we didn't cover in the rules. We're just going to keep everything to a decision, which is going to hurt some teams like Penn State. But for the purpose of Twitter polls and stuff like that, everything is 3 points.
Got it.
So it'll be easier that way, and we can make Twitter polls work better. But I'm going to agree with you, Joey Dance. I mean, there's really no argument for Lambert to win this one. But, yeah. Dance,
Joey, two-time AA?
Two-time AA, but let me give a little Joey Dance trivia in case you guys need it. Okay, he was the 3 seed, the 2 seed, and the 2 seed. Okay, with wins over Nico Megaludis, Thomas Gilman, Nathan Tomasello, Darian Cruz. 3 of those 4 are NCAA champions, plus Jack Mueller, among others. He beat a lot of really, really good dudes, including 3 NCAA champions.
Joey Dance was awesome. He made some good runs too. It just, that was kind of at the beginning of Virginia Tech's run too. Where they started to get.
And the year they trophied, he actually was the 2 seed and didn't place in 2016.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because that was they should have gotten more points out of that. Jude and Jacob, y'all agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cut and dry. Joey's the better wrestler here, and we've seen it, and there's not much to say about it. You guys said it all.
Yeah, I'm taking Joey Dance. I mean, even though I believe Lambert put into OT right at 2017 NCAA's, but I'm still going to take Dance here over Timothy Lambert, and
we're going Timothy. Okay, Joseph Dance over Timothy Lambert.
I'm not like best friends. We're not like Timmy, but like it's Timothy.
Timothy.
All right.
Got it.
So Virginia Tech goes out to a 3-0 lead over Nebraska.
Wait, so Sam, we talked about for bonus points. I was under the assumption that we were going to do bonus points if we all agreed on it, unanimous decision. Because I think this is definitely one where we could.
I think we're just going to keep it for the whole tournament, just 2 decisions every time.
All right, cool. So let's move on. 133.
I know you wanted that for Penn State.
Yeah. So 133. Moving on, we got Devin Carter versus Eric Montoya. Jude, do you want to start us off with this one?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Devin Carter, I believe if I did my research correctly, he's a 2-time AA, right? He took 3rd and 2nd as a junior, as a senior for Virginia Tech. I'm reading it off of Stat. And then Eric Montoya was a 2-time All-American for Nebraska. He was also a Midlands champ. Both really tough guys. But I think I'm going to take Carter here. He had the better accolades. So that's one vote for Devin Carter.
Well, I just looked it up, and Eric Montoya is the Thornton City mayor. On Google. So you're going against the mayor.
Nice.
Wow. Devin Carter has his PhD, so I don't know. That's like kind of the reattack there. Got the political savvy, and then you've got the learned scholar.
Hit the switch.
I think in this match, though, Montoya's got such a crazy style. I think he matches up really well with a guy like Carter.
Listen, Sam, I'm gonna let you finish, but Devin Carter would have physically injured him. Ask Mason Beckman about Devin Carter. This dude was so unbelievably physical, and Eric Montoya is a bad dude, but Devin Carter did things to people. This is a guy, he beat Tony Ramos. He beat Joe Colon. He beat Dean Heil. He beat Kevin Jackson. He has quite a body count. I think he would his physicality would be a difference here.
And I completely agree. I was trying to make a little bit of a case for Montoya so he doesn't get blown out of the water. But Devin Carter, like you said, is probably taking this one. Physicality's off the charts. Yeah, I got Devin Carter. Virginia Tech's jumping off to an early lead.
The case for Montoya is he was really, really good on top, and Carter, in the earlier parts of his career, had a harder time getting away. So there is an opportunity there for Montoya, and I think it could be from the top position. He beat Seth Gross the year Seth made the final. He actually beat Eric beat Clark and Gross the season that it was Clark over Gross at the NCAA final.
That's impressive.
He's super good.
Those guys are so opposite, too. To be able to beat Clark and Gross, those are two way different styles. So you've got to be pretty good at adjusting and stuff. And to pull upsets, too.
He beat him in Carver. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. I was way too young.
Yeah, he was like 6.
Well, it was funny. Well, it was funny hearing you not know Solomon Chisco because it's like it wasn't that long ago, but you're so young. It's funny. Because like now, if you would definitely know the Solomon Chisco of today, if you were just following. So it's funny. But no, Montoya beat him in Carver, and he throat slashed Carver after he won.
Oh, I've seen him. I've seen a clip of that.
It was so savage. Eric Montoya started at Campbell and transferred.
I feel like I remember.
Man, so I'm looking back at Devin Carter's season, and like in 2015, like his last 10 matches, you know, he beat Le'Veon Mays and Randy Cruz and Dean Heil, you know, all really, really good wrestlers. So, I mean, Carter's the man here. So,
he beat dudes pretty bad. He was really, really dominant. And Sam, you may not know this story. Jude, in the 2013-14 season at CKLV, Devin tore his hamstring off the bone and was done for the season. Okay? So he actually finished. You can watch the match. It was against Joey Spizak of UVA. It happened in that match. And then after that, he was done. They're like, okay, he's not coming back. And then like a little before ACCs, like rumors started to swirl like, hey, Devin Carter's been like drilling. He's been wrestling. He's been kind of doing it. Then he comes out and wins ACCs and makes the NCAA finals after he was like, it was announced that his season was done. And then he did some crazy like rehab stuff and like he's part mutant. And then next thing you know, he was in the NCAA finals. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh, he probably had Kyle Dake's doctor.
He may have.
Getting younger every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
That was
awesome.
insane.
Okay, so y'all, we got Devin Carter. Then we can move on to 141.
Yeah, so definitely Devin Carter. 141, Solomon Chisco versus Chad Red. I think this is actually, as far as, you know, like stats and looking at, you know, wrestle stat profiles side by side, it's pretty similar in the stats. For me, it's Chad Red, though. He's so explosive and just –
CP, you sending out Chisco or Diaz?
We're going to send Chisco. He was much better than Diaz. But Diaz was like one of the first – I don't know this for sure. He might have been Dresser's first All-American.
He have a good weight cut for the duel?
Yeah, he wasn't – yeah, he didn't have a good weight cut. We're going to send out Sol. He's got a little more offense.
Hey, CP, I have a question. Where did you project Red to finish this season at NCAA?
I don't remember – where was he in the bracket? I think, you know, he really impressed me at Big Tens. He had an awesome Big Ten tournament. He was that guy coming into NCAAs, I was like, well, you got to watch out for this dude. He wrestled Nick Lee really, really tough. Now, Luke Pletcher really had his number, it seemed like this year, whereas in the past they had like quite a rivalry. But I think he could have been a top 4, top 5 guy for sure. And, maybe if he was opposite Pletcher, I'm pulling it up right now.
He was the 6th seed, so he was opposite Pletcher on the side of Real Woods and Lee.
Dude, Woods, Chad Red, I probably like Chad. I think that's a one takedown match. And I like Red in that kind of a scenario, as good as Real Woods is. And then Nick Lee, hey, you take that. I mean, he could have made the finals for sure. I think probably 2nd or 4th. I don't think he beats Pletcher. It's just those days have passed.
Yeah.
But I have to pick here against Solomon Shishko, who people forget, he beat Seth Gross twice. He beat Pat Lugo. He beat Max Thompson. So he had a solid body count for a guy that maybe a little forgotten. 2-time AA for Tech, and then he kind of just was like it was kind of weird. Tech had 2 guys that were returning All-Americans their senior or junior year and just didn't wrestle the next year. So that's not ideal. And Solomon was one of them. He's just kind of done with wrestling. This is a really tough one. I think he actually matches up really well. Good from short offense with Solomon. He was more consistent, whereas Chad, you had a lot of ups and downs. I think both of them at their best, I think I will have to take Red, even though I think Solomon had a great shot at beating someone like Chad Red.
For me, it's very similar. I don't like I said, I don't really know Chishko that well. Recency bias is magnified here. So I'm going with Chad Red just because of the familiarity I have with him and just watching him, his high crotch defense, sit the corners, cradles are so, so good. So I'm going to go with Red. Jacob, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree. It's Chad Red. He's just so dangerous from so many positions. So.
And Jude?
I'm going to go Chisco just to mix it up and be the heel, I suppose.
I should have picked Chisco.
Wow.
You can flip your
vote.
vote. Hey, what's the rule? Are we allowed to flip votes? We can send this to no.
I kind of hated it. I hated not picking him. It's an interesting match because Solomon was one of those guys where he was really tough to scramble against. He just had a way of finishing on those tough scrambly type of dudes. But no, I'll stick with CJ.
All right. Well, I'm picking Chisco.
That's cool. He's a Western PA guy.
Yeah.
Ken and Mac.
Dude, they're good. They're pretty good. So yeah, Chisco. Awesome. Let's okay, so that means Nebraska gets 3 points, gets their first points on the board, and move on to 149 where
but they don't actually, Jude. Sorry. It's yeah, Nebraska, not for you though. Yeah, so for you it would be still Virginia Tech, you homer. No, it's 6-3 Nebraska no matter what the fans say.
Awesome.
Now we're up to 49.
All right, so 149, we got Sal Mastriani versus Jake Soufflon. All right, Christian, start us off. Why Sal going to win?
Listen, it's about hustle, baby. Sal Mastriani wrestled so freaking hard. He could not get off the bottom at all. It was really a big weakness, but he would wrestle hard, a lot of fakes from space, left side high crotch, had a really good cement mixer, but I can't go against Jake Soufflon in this match. It wouldn't happen. Sal was one of those guys who got the most out of himself. He wasn't the most talented dude, but worked really, really hard and got 8th once. Jake Soufflon, while he only placed once or twice, he was I think maybe actually only once. But he was someone that was supposed to place 3 or 4 of his NCAA seasons. Just didn't quite put it together, and then had a lot of really good wins.
Yeah. So it's showing on WrestleStat that Soufflon didn't place. Is that right?
That could be true. No, that could be true.
No, yeah, Soufflon didn't place. He was a 4-time qualifier. He went 2-2 as a senior.
Yeah, he might be one of the best
actually-
guys to never play.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny looking at their WrestleStat profiles because when you look at it, just looking at, Souflon, you got a round of 12, a round of 16. Mastriani placed, 8th once and got round of 12. So I think it kind of like leans more towards Mastriani. But then also you look at like these stats are so conflicting because then you look at Mastriani's record, 68 and 53. Souflon is 60 and 14. And it's like, what is going on if you didn't know?
Souflon was a round of 12 as a sophomore. So he was super close, and then the next 2 years he went 2-2 at the NCAA tournament. So I mean he was right there to place. And then both coaching now. One's at Brown, he's at Purdue, right? Souflon's at Purdue.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going with Souflon. CP is too, right?
Yeah.
All right, Jude. Don't disappoint us.
Give me Sal.
Oh dear.
He's not even picking.
He hasn't even spoken.
Listen, to be fair, Sal has wins over Ian Miller and the aforementioned Devin Carter. That's what Sal Mastriani gained huge notoriety when he beat Devin at the Hokie Open. And then so Devin was going to go, let me try to remember this correctly. Devin was going to go 49. And so he was going up, and then he goes to the Hokie Open, like it's like a November tournament. And Sal beats him in like sudden victory or something. And then that got Carter to go back down to 141. And this may or may not have been the year he hurt his hamstring. It's all running together. But that's how Sal like became sort of a household name.
That's awesome. So I've always been a fan of, the hard workers, right? And also, like, Sal did the dang thing. He got on the podium.
Yeah.
Also, never really discussed where this match is taking place. Like, where are they wrestling? Is it NCAA's? Is it just generic wrestling gym? I mean,
it's
Round
a
Rock
neutral site, Round Rock High School.
okay. Awesome. All right. I'm still taking Sal. You gotta convince me otherwise, but he did the thing. He got on the podium. So.
Yeah, you're right, Jude. I'm kind of not doing my best job for the Hokies here.
Yeah,
Maybe we should have had Jude do the Hokies job.
Maybe.
He's all in for 5. All right, but now it's tied 6-6.
Feeling pretty good about that.
Tied up 6-6 going into 157. And Jude's probably going Virginia Tech at 157. We've got Nick Bichetta versus James Green. So, Sam, what are your thoughts?
Man, this one's all James Green to me. Just remembering his athleticism in college. He was right there to beat Aymar when Aymar was peaking, always right near the top. Did he ever win a title?
No.
But he was
never made a
always
final.
right there. He was always right there behind the top guys like Aymar and stuff. And then obviously he's still competing, still on top of the country and sometimes world 2017. But James Green, 57 pounds. I gotta take him for Nebraska.
So this is like completely against James Green, what I'm about to say. But one of my favorite NCAA memories of all time was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Dylan Ness?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, my God. That was crazy. That was awesome.
Insane.
But, yeah, even with that, obviously James Green I think is the better guy here. He's better on the world level. He's better in the college level. He was a 4-time AA. Arguably one of the better guys to never win or at least never make a final. And so I'm going James Green.
Christian, tell us about Jesse Dong. Who is he?
So Jesse Dong from Westerville High School in Columbus. Okay, this dude was crazy. His style was ridiculous. He was an amazing scrambler, but he absolutely destroyed people on top. He rode double legs. He would like double legs, kind of side headlock, pull him back. I watched. It all comes back to the Hokie Open for this show, and so there's this kid from Old Dominion, last name Nicholson, James Nicholson, and he had like destroyed everyone at the Hokie Open at 157. He was going to hit Jesse Dong. My friend and I were sitting there, and he's like, "Who you got in this one?" And my friend was like, "Come on, man! You know Nicholson's going to smoke him." Like that was like kind of like our feeling going in. Like Nicholson would probably win. Dong straight up teched him like in the first or second period. He just destroyed him. He was unbelievable. He's one of the better guys to not place. It was during a time with Virginia Tech where they would have a lot of really highly seeded guys. And they just wouldn't get it done at NCAAs, and I would just get sad. But like he actually, it all ties back to Pat Pop. So Pat Pop's, I think one of his first AAs was Justin Lister, this Binghamton kid who was unseeded, and he had Jesse. Jesse was like the 3 seed, and Lister was really good, good scrambler, really good with cradles, and he cradled up Jesse, and it was also very, very sad. But so honestly, so Jesse Dong was a 0-time AA. He was really good. Like him versus Nick Bruschetta would be like an absolute really, really tough match where at their best, it's certainly questionable because Bruschetta, while he's a 3-time AA, he's like battled health during a lot of time. But I think it would have to be Bruschetta who you send out here, even though people don't remember Jesse Dong because like he's kind of went on and like he's not in wrestling really anymore as far as I know. So yeah, just a little trip down memory lane from a guy that was a total beast. But Greasy, 4-time AA, he was world bronze after his junior year, which is pretty crazy to think about. Or was it his senior year? It would have been his senior year. Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. But still, right out of college was world bronze, so that's the level he was at. Bruschetta and he wrestled. He beat Bruschetta, so therefore I should have picked Solomon and Sal.
Awesome. I'm also going James Green. No, for all of the above, really. I mean, what am I going to add on to James Green here?
All right, so everybody's for Green.
Oh, man, so Nebraska takes the lead.
Yeah, Nebraska's back up 9-6. And with that being said, we'll move on up to 165 where we're going to have some heat. Mekhi Lewis or David McFadden, they could go tag team on Jordan Burroughs. CP, who you throwing out?
Well, you throw McFadden on here because this is a guy who would have been, in my opinion, a 4-time All-American, the first in Hokie history, and he didn't get that opportunity because of this dang virus. So his name's on there, but I think we all know what it is. You got to send out Mekhi Lewis. Yeah. All 3 Jersey guys here, but Mekhi did the thing. He beat Alex Marinelli, Evan Wick, and Vincenzo Joseph back to back to back. This man is a junior world champ, a boast that Jordan Ernest Burroughs cannot make. Now he is multiple senior world champion, but he was on the junior world team, Jordan Burroughs, and did not, in fact, win it. So if I got to get it started, this is definitely a decision match. I have a lot of respect for Mekhi Lewis's defense, as I think everyone does after seeing what he did at NCAAs. But I don't see how he scores points on Jordan. I think Jordan's defense is a little underrated here. And if you're not scoring points, points are going to be scored on you if you're wrestling Jordan Burroughs. I think probably 2 takedown match. Neither rides each other. And Burroughs gets the dub.
I completely agree.
I think
pretty much everything you said, but let's hear Jude.
All right, so my case for Lewis kind of looks something like this. When did we ever really see Lewis get blown through, right? He's got real strong hips. He's got real strong legs. He can extend a position very, very far. I think it'll be just as hard for Burroughs to score points on Mekhi Lewis, especially considering that Jordan Burroughs steps on a landmine before he goes out to wrestle. And then that's it.
Dude. Oh.
I said it, landmine, bam,
It
boom.
happened.
It's over.
Oh no!
my God.
Oh god!
That's what the Hokies needed.
What's wrong with Jordan Burroughs and getting cheated in these fantasy?
Bro, it's got to get tied up.
I want to hear how conflicted CP is feeling right now.
So, well, you know what's interesting? Makai literally was a landmine, right? He was the one that landmined what many people thought was the first or second toughest bracket last year. Yeah, and you know, Jude's point is fair. We've seen Makai single-legged, but as far as blowing through him on a double, it hasn't really happened. The interesting case for Makai
who's he wrestled that hits a double leg like Jordan Burroughs?
Well, okay, no one exists in the world.
Okay, who has he wrestled that hits a blast double?
Chenzo.
And he's
Chenzo
shown
hits
defense.
blast doubles.
Not on Makai.
Okay, are you really comparing Chenzo's double to Jordan Burroughs?
Marinelli has a nice little. Marinelli will hit a
does,
little
but
pop double.
That's not a blast double. That's like a side head to the outside double.
We're not even in the same world as far as doubles go. Okay, man, I was so ready to talk about this. I mean,
was it because I was smiling? Was I smiling earlier before, and you guys are like, "Jude, he's gonna do it."
yeah, you have an awful poker face.
Sorry, I've always had an awful poker face. Not fun.
So obviously, I mean, it's a thing that could happen, right? Makai is the landmine. It definitely could happen. Man. So how did it happen, Jude?
Cradled him.
I don't know what to say. I don't even know what to say.
That's a fair point too. I mean, we've seen the Makai cradle.
Hey, but Christian knows the Makai cradle is only in folk style when Vincenzo Joseph does one of these.
And
stand up.
Come to think about it,
him hitting a bad stand up in order for him to get cradled. Yeah. You know what's interesting about this is Makai won as a freshman, right? So what kind of development are we going to see in the next 3 years with Makai? Like how much better could he be?
That's another thing I was going to say was we're saying whole career, like best of your career. Yeah. It's totally unfair to Makai because he's only had 1 year. And so the fact that Jude's even considering him over Burroughs in 1 year compared to 6 years for Burroughs.
Well, compare their freshman seasons.
Yeah, Makai blows him out of the water.
Yeah. It would be interesting to have this conversation again in 4 years.
Yeah.
Because it might be completely different, you know?
53-year-old Sam.
Especially because in the next 4 years, this match could actually happen. They could actually wrestle in freestyle.
Yeah.
Did you say 4 years or 40 years? Because I think I might have messed that up.
Well, yes, in the next 40 years, it could happen.
Yeah.
I'm not wrong. But
yeah. I mean, I think a couple of things. Well, for one, like talking about your landmine also, we've seen the Makai cradle, and we've also seen Burroughs get cradled multiple times. So
that's not the same thing.
I'm just saying. I wouldn't have went that way. I wouldn't have went that way. I like talking about it. If we hadn't got landmined, Makai's single defense is obviously like out of this world, and Jordan obviously has one of the best single legs also in the world. But it's hard to defend Jordan Burroughs double. It's one thing a single, but yeah.
His reattacks. This match would be so like both guys should be afraid to shoot because both of them have such quick and hard reattacks.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have to move on and stop crying.
We have to.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Not sorry.
I'm gonna put a star by this one to symbolize a landmine.
A landmine.
Now, so just to clarify, does that mean my landmine's done for all the quarterfinals? No more.
This is round one. This is round one.
Round one.
Yep.
Round of 16.
Yeah, round
all
16.
Right, no more. Okay then.
Yep.
Let's move along.
Well placed.
And thank you, sir. I had to get tied up. I can't let VT get drained here. So, Christian, tell us about Zach Epperly.
Zach Epperly. From Christiansburg, Virginia. He was really, really good. What were you saying?
Just saying I know that town.
Oh, yeah. Very great wrestling program started by Coach Dresser. and Coach Darrell Weber did a great job there, turned it into a national powerhouse. So he was a 2-time AA with he had some wins too. He beat Matt Brown the year Matt Brown won NCAAs. He beat Tyler Wilps the year Tyler Wilps made the finals. Pete Renda, Nate Jackson, Taylor Lujan, Casey Kent, Jadane Bernstein, Alex Meyer, Blaze Butler, among others. He was really, really good. It was a really weird thing. So in the 2015-16 season, he quit. He quit the team. He quit for a long time, like over a month, I want to say, like a month or two. It was just like not practicing wrestling. And they were like trying to get him to come back the whole time. And he finally does come back, and he freaking got third. And he lost in round 1. So you think this dude quit, did not want to wrestle. He comes back and he loses in round 1 as a pretty decent seed. He was like the 8 or 9 seed. He comes back, loses in round 1. You're like, okay, he's going to pack it in. The dude like almost bonused the whole way back to third, including bonusing the guy that he lost to in round 1, Casey Kent. So it was totally wild, and it was one of the huge factors in Virginia Tech getting a trophy. So Epperly had a great career. He placed his first 2 years and then was round of 12 his junior year, and then elected to not come back the next year. But he was always seated really high, really good guy, really good wrestler. So yeah, that's Zach Epperly.
Yeah. And then in the other corner, we got Robert Kokesh of Nebraska. Good old farm boy, 4-time NCAA qualifier, 3-time All-American. He got third twice and fourth. When I think of Kokesh, I think about that crazy bracket. Was it 2014, 2015 that had Storley and Evans and all of those guys in there, Matt Brown. And he was the 1 seed in that bracket. And he was really good. That was a fun 4 years of all those guys pretty much grouped together. What do you guys see with this one, Sam and Jude?
Give me Kokesh. He's well proven. He's really good. I have a question. Is Kokesh? Did he ever wrestle? Was he same era as Ed? Did he wrestle Ed Ruth?
So I don't think so. Kokesh spent some time at 65 and then went up to 74. I think in the 2013-14 season, I want to say, that's when Ed was at 84. So I don't think they ever wrestled.
So they never. Okay. Sorry, just a clarifying question. But yeah, give me Kokesh. He did the dang thing. He got on the podium multiple times. Very, very tough guy. Sam Herring, pass it on.
Same with you, Kokesh.
Yeah, Kokesh was right there knocking on the door to make a final, 3, 4, and 3.
It's fun to say too, Kokesh.
So 2015, Kokesh was bar none the best 74-pounder. His semi against Wilps was crazy. It was one of those matches. He was literally on Ty Wilps's leg for like minutes and minutes at a time. And Wilps was one of those super flexible, megaludus type of dudes that could get to the edge when you're on his single. And he ate up so much time on there just trying to finish single legs. Even though he outshot this dude, even though Robert Kokesh was way better than Wilps that whole year. And I'm pretty sure was an undefeated 1 seed. He beat Matt Brown that year. That's how good he was. And this was one of Epperly's, better years. So I must be respectful of Kokesh, the pride of South Dakota, I want to say. Him and Storley wrestled. It's so funny. Him and Storley wrestled a bunch in high school because they're both from – I'm almost positive they're both from South Dakota. And so they wrestled each other a bunch in high school. And then they had the crazy NCAA match where Storley was down in like tiebreakers with like 5 seconds left and started running away basically and basically falls down and gives up the takedown in overtime to lose to Storley. It was a really weird match.
That was awesome. And he did the same thing to him back on the backside for 3rd and 4th.
That's right.
Yeah. It was in tiebreakers. It wasn't like the chasing down 5 seconds, but it was in tiebreakers. He got him again.
Yeah, you got to keep wrestling there.
Storley was awesome to watch. And, man, Wilps brings back really bad memories for me. So me and my dad, every year we go to the NCAA tournament, and we always pick brackets, like March Madness. And that year, so we've been doing it for 10 years. I've only lost twice, and that was the first time I lost to him. And it was because of that match in the finals. It came down to our tournament was he had Matt Brown and I had somebody else. But the way it worked out, basically, if Matt Brown lost, then I would win. And Wilps is up by 1 point with 10 seconds left, and then gets hit twice. And
that was crazy.
That was rough. But yes, I think we all got Kokesh, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's all tied up again. 3 weights left to go. Let's keep it moving here. So we got a 184. Wait, did everyone vote? Sam Herring? Everyone
we
voted?
got Kokesh.
Okay, awesome.
It's not tied up.
Is it?
It's 4-3.
Oh, no, yeah. Now Nebraska takes the lead. Okay. 184 pounds. We got Double Z Zach Zavatsky versus, TJ Dudley. Richard Pyles, let me kick with you, and you can start us off.
Okay, Zach Zavatsky, a.k.a. ZZ Top, out of Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Really had a great career for the Hokies. Only a 2-time AA. However, here we're just give you a picture of how good he was for 4 years. He was the 5 seed, the 5 seed, the 6 seed, and the 3 seed for his career. So always a top 6-ish guy with amazing wins. He beat multiple NCAA champions. He beat Drew Foster, Mike Machiavello, and Miles Martin, along with Willie Miklas, Max Dean, Taylor Vins, Chip Ness, Vic Avery, Pete Renda, Hayden Zilmer, Matt Miller, Dakota Gear. So a lot of really, really tough guys he downed. Dudley had a higher placing than ZZ Top.
Third, right?
Yep.
Yes. However, I'm going to go with the Hokie. I think it's a solid matchup for him. I think he's got really, really good wins, and I like Virginia Tech, so let's go Hokies.
Jacob Hughley, who you got, my man?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go the other way. I think it's a really good match also. I think it's really close. For me, I always felt like looking at Zach Zavatsky, obviously he was a 2-time All-American. He's around 12 one time, performed great. But I always kind of expected him to do a little bit better, right? Like you were saying, he was the 3, 4, and 5 seed. It was different years. I just expected a little bit more from him, and whereas TJ Dudley more outperformed what I expected. So just going that way, I'm gonna take TJ Dudley. But I think it's a super close match. What do you guys think?
For sure.
Their seasons overlapped, right? They both wrestled 184 2017, but they never hit each other, correct?
Yeah, they didn't hit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Zavatsky here. I'm a little bit more familiar with him and his work and his style. So I'm going to take him for reasons CP has mentioned. So we got CP and me for Zavatsky.
And Jacob and me for TJ Dudley, because I'm taking the proven man, and we're gonna kick this sucker into overtime. And it's going. We gotta shoot a text to our nomad, who is going to get this decision made for us.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to 97. Sam, if you want to shoot Mason a text and see what he's got, who he's got, maybe we can break the tie before we even have to go to Twitter polls.
I bet he picks Dudley.
He'd probably
TJ Dudley?
Yeah.
I bet
Awesome.
Zavatsky beat his guy Ryan Price in round of 12.
Oh.
I think it was round of 12. Or it might have been, I think it might have been the quarters, actually.
Yeah. All right, so jumping up 197, we got Jared Haught versus Craig Brester. So we get. What are you thinking, CP?
Well, I'm thinking, one, shout out Chris Penny. This dude never won states in Virginia, where we give out around 42 of those every year. Actually, during Chris Penny's era, we were still 3A system. However,
You guys at 6A right now? Is that correct?
6 plus private school, baby. Don't forget private school.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm from Georgia. We have 7.
Nice.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Tennessee
Crazy.
has 3.
Makes a lot of sense.
PA has 2, right?
PA only has 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've never understood why PA has 2, but they're AA and AAA. Why would they not be just A
1
and
and 2.
AA?
Yeah.
Well, I think because the schools are like, it's like AA and below and AAA and above, because all schools are rated on like a 6A system.
Okay, smarty
To make
pants.
sure. All right, I'm sorry.
Got the Census Bureau over here.
Okay.
Okay, so wait, we were talking about this match. So Chris Penny actually was interesting because he was probably not seeded or a really low seed, and he beat someone you Penn State fans will know, Morgan McIntosh. Huge upset, totally unexpected. But Jared Hott was better than Chris Penny. Who are we kidding? So Jared Hott's the guy. And listen, Craig Brester, y'all probably definitely didn't watch him, but he beat Jake Varner, I believe, multiple times. He would have won NCAAs a lot of different years, but was just in some really insane weights, and including the one occupied by a future Olympic champion. But you know what? When you're an underdog, you need something outside the usual, and you have to use a landmine sometimes. And it's the Horseman landmine for Jared Hott. And here's how it goes down. Here's what happens. Jared Hott, Parkersburg's sort of own. He went to Parkersburg High School at least. This dude, Coach Zag started calling him the Horseman. And so for like the ACC finals, they asked what kind of music he wanted. And he said horse noises. Not like songs, like just play horse noises. So
I have a question. Is it like clopping hoofs, or is it like or stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm assuming gamut of horse noises. There's so
that was a good reenactment right there.
Thank you. What can I say?
maybe Jude was at ACCs after all. So
Who do you think they got to play the
has
noise?
the guts to have horse noises played as your intro music when everyone's playing like, I don't know, like Win by J-Rock, like Makai is. I respect that. So it's landmine time.
Gosh.
And you know what? This is my only time I had to use my landmine, so I'm going to use it right now. Hot over Brester.
See,
I was going with him anyway. I don't think.
Oh yeah, that's just because he would never win without the landmine.
Would Kyle Bradkey ever forgive you if you didn't pick Jared Hott?
I don't think he would.
No, maybe not. Yeah, this is really just preserving a work relationship right now.
Yes. You got to keep your friends. You know,
That's right.
we got our friends. Who are we, right?
Exactly.
running out to horse noises is even better than running out the Pokemon theme song.
It really is.
Like,
oh man,
man, that'd be cool.
I gotta run out. I gotta run out to a fun song when I get there.
My run out song is "Sabotage" by the Beastie Boys.
I don't know that.
I love that song. It's okay. Well, hey, good relationship building exercise between Christian Pyles and Kyle Bradkey, who is not here. But I'm glad that we can, get it on record that CP is extending the hand of friendship. Hopefully, it lasts for many years to come.
Exactly.
But
So we're gonna.
if I count up,
we got our vote from Mason.
Okay.
He said he's taking Dudley. He's an NCAA finalist compared to 3 All-Americans, or he's a 3-time All-American compared to 2 for Savatsky. He said the credentials back up Dudley, so he's going with Dudley.
There we
Just
go.
like
dots.
One,
He might be saying something
3,
else.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so ahead by 3. Nebraska is poised to take the upset here. Comes down to 285 pounds. Ty Walls versus Colin Jensen and Christian Pyles.
Listen,
Tell us all about Ty Walls.
this is an easy dub for Ty. Ty was outstanding. You know, he didn't place his freshman year, then went 7th, 4th, 4th. Multiple wins over Adam Kuhn. Beat Jacob Casper, Tanner Hall, Austin Marsden. Beat a lot of really good dudes. Took down Kyle Snyder, like back when that wasn't really happening. As did the Horseman Jared Hott in the craziest duel ever. This Virginia Tech Ohio State duel at Virginia Tech. The Hokies upset Ohio State the year they won NCAAs. Actually, it was totally insane. And Hott took down Kyle Snyder like twice in the match. And that was before Hott had done anything. He was maybe a freshman. So anyway, I digress. Ty Wall's here. Great. He had a good snatch single. He would hit a John Smith low single, probably best known for his high crotch, where he just get in. He was really fast, and then he would lift. Pick Kuhn. There's an awesome picture of him like skying Kuhn on a high crotch. It was epic. So he was really good. Jensen was tall, and Jensen's claim to fame is he once, I think he rode out Kyle Snyder. Like he was like pretty dang tough on top, and he rode him for like a period.
Was that a Big Tens? I feel like that was Big Tens.
I thought it was a duel, but maybe not. I don't know. I'll look it up. But I've got Ty Walls in that match.
Me as well.
By a comfortable decision. Now I'm going to look up that match.
Yeah, absolutely. Ty Walls all day.
Ty Walls.
If you can pick up Adam Kuhn, you got my vote.
Yeah, multiple times.
It's a big guy.
Yeah, beat him a few times. Yeah, he was really good. St. Ed's, Ohio. He was part of that streak, keeping that streak going for do y'all know about that, Jude and Sam?
Yeah, no, that St. Ed's had a crazy, like, long undefeated streak, right?
Yeah, not undefeated. So they had a Division I All-American every year for like 30 years or something crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah. Imagine a high school had a D1 All-American every year for like years. It was only like 2018 or 2019 when it was after Dean Heil graduated.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Insane.
Funny story. One of my youth wrestling coaches, his name's Ed Earth. He's the father of Cole Urbis, who's the 197-pounder for Penn right now. But Coach Ed went to St. Ed's and joined their wrestling team, having no experience whatsoever. And he said he got the snot beat out of him for 4 years straight, and didn't really know what he was getting himself into. So
the St. Ed's St. Paris Graham rivalry's got to be one of the greatest high school rivalries there is.
Yeah, you have to figure. So it was since 82 started the streak, 1982. So I was born in 85, and Sam was born in 2016. So just a little.
Oh, man. Well, it comes down 15-15 tie.
This is why I need that Devin Carter bonus point, man. How are we going to decide this?
Burroughs would have gotten bonus points.
Whoa. I feel like we should change the rules here because isn't the whole premise with the landmine that it's like a pinfall, right?
That's what I thought, yeah.
Pinfall. I think we should
I
think bonus points.
So
we can say landmines are bonus if you want to do that.
I think if you choose your landmine, then you get to pick how it happened. You can still pick decision, major decision, whatever, but if you pick a landmine, you can say it's a pin or a tech or whatever.
Let me visualize.
Right, so the fate of Virginia Tech, Nebraska is in one of your hands.
Well, so the horse noises had a disorienting effect on Craig Brester. It was not the mental issue. It was not the physical issue. He had a psychological issue triggered from his past and a negative event when he was attacked by a horse as a child. And he had no focus on the line. And a classic single leg, skies it, catches him on his back for the finish. Jared Hott, the horseman, with the pinfall.
Oh, man.
And Jude, can you blow it out?
Imagine you're a Brester and you hear those noises and you start sweating. You're like, oh my gosh, what? And you look across the line and it's just a horse. And you're like, ah!
Horse made the finals?
How? We meet again. All right.
Jude, you got
I don't know
bonus?
if I have anything that
If you had
creative.
Jordan Burroughs getting bonus by Mekhi Lewis, I don't know, Jude. We might have to cut off
Right.
this HMA.
All right.
Yeah, it
No,
can't
I
happen.
don't. Okay. You know what?
Decision?
Cradle him, I guess.
So-
I don't know. Just cradle him. I got to do something creative. How about it was after this takes place present day. Jordan Burroughs has been, he's been a little emotionally roused up. His cortisone levels are rising. About his
Well, too much stretching.
Has been too much stretching.
He's putting stress on his spine and fidgeting in his chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
CP thinks he's getting
got a
called
little
out.
too fidgety. He goes out there. He's focused on the wrong things. Mekhi Lewis, he just cradles him. There's not a lot to it, but it
So it's a pin?
was the mental edge. Threw them all off. It's
So
a
it's a pinfall.
And
Wow.
final score and the end of this dual meet,
21-15.
21-15.
Wow.
Virginia Tech holds off the red-hot Nebraska team. And I mean, what else can we say?
That's a
What else can we
squad.
say?
That's a squad. Who do they get the winner of? They get Penn State?
What's the bracket look like, Jacob? We'll pull it up here.
Should be Penn State.
Okay, so looking at the bracket, Penn State. Yep, they got the winner, Penn State Lehigh.
All right.
Penn State, Lehigh. Awesome.
So looks
Okay.
like Christian Pyles will be back on to defend his Hokies.
Listen, I'm already scheming.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's
He's
got a
ready.
plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
Oh, all right.
CP's got a plan.
That's
Or
gonna be a
something.
good one. That's gonna be a real good one.
You'll be
Awesome.
surprised. Yeah.
Hey, Christian
And-
Pyles, thank you so much, man, for being available, being able to come on. You're making your first ever appearance on Home at Advantage. We will certainly have to get you back on again. I know I was thinking about it today. We've interviewed Bader, Nomad, Mike Mall, Willie. We interviewed lots and lots of Flo guys.
Saving
but
the
we
best
still-
one for last.
Yeah. What am I? Jeez.
All right.
No, it's fine. Thought I did something.
Well, hey, you were fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on. And Jacob, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, so real quick before we go, I just want to remind Jude that if we get CP back on for this PSU match, that it will be a next round. So technically he'll have another landmine. So
So will
I just want you to be aware of that because you kind of hit him where it hurt earlier, and he's going to be able to get you back.
Yeah.
Against Penn State. This is gonna be good. CP
Yeah.
Please don't tell
is gonna be good. We should
me.
all use our round 2 landmines on Jude Swisher's favorite.
Oh no!
That'd be great.
We're just going to – oh, that's going to be fun.
All right.
But
Great.
anyways, guys, thanks again, CP, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Had a good time. Hopefully we can get you back on for that next round. And obviously, Sam, dude, it's always great. But that wraps it up. Virginia Tech moves on off of a couple of pins to face the Nitty Lions of Penn State. So we will see you guys next episode when we have the next round coming up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, talk to y'all later. Bye.
See ya. Thanks.